the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. Casey Cares is the intersection of the nonprofit and profit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. This Casey Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. Music is a language that makes a magical connection to human beings of all ages, all ethnicities, everybody. But there is something extra special when music and young people collide. Here in Kansas City, the Youth Chorus of Kansas City is focused on the magical connection of music to lift young people through the experience of singing together. Here to talk about this young nonprofit and its impact on the youth of Kansas City is the artistic and executive director, Ryan Main. Ryan, welcome. We're so glad you could join us.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here today.
Well, we have to let the secret out. I was so gifted to be able to come to your benefit recently, and I did not even know about the organization. I was blown away with the sound of these young people. So let's let everybody in on the secret. Tell us about the nonprofit and your mission and your goals.
Absolutely. So the Youth Chorus of Kansas City is in our 7th season currently, and we serve students from all around the metro area. We have students actually living in 9 counties and attending school in about 25, 26 school districts in the area. And we currently serve students in grades 2 all the way through seniors in high school. Next year, we're actually going to expand that to be kindergarten through 12th grade. And every year, we are just growing and expanding our ability to meet our mission, which is to make really high quality art, high quality music education accessible to any young person in Kansas City who wants that experience, regardless of financial barriers and regardless of the other kinds of barriers that typically can prevent students from being able to access something like this program.
Where did this idea come from? We full disclosure, we should say you are a musician and a composer.
Indeed. Yeah. So I have been doing music as a professional for almost 20 years now. I got my start as a composer. And during my undergrad, I had this experience of working with ensembles that were performing music that I had written. And that kind of planted the seed for me that I really enjoyed this experience of not just creating the music in a written form, but actually helping to bring it into the world in real life. And so I got the idea that maybe I wanted to be a teacher, and I started teaching in the public schools outside of Kansas City, Missouri. And these were schools that were pretty low income, and our students faced a lot of challenges because of that. But I found that work to be especially gratifying, that challenge and rigor and building skills was something that gave my students kind of a lifeline to a future that they didn't really realize was possible to them before. And so music is one of the ways that students can transform their entire lives by building these kinds of skills.
So you're in the classroom. You've written music. I'm just curious. I'm not a music writer. What's it like to have your piece come to life in the voice of other people?
It's really incredible. And, one of the moments that I enjoy the most is when I first walk into a room where maybe a choir has prepared a piece of mine that I've written, and I'll hear a singer practicing a small part of the piece before the rehearsal even starts. But I get to hear this singer kind of connecting with something that was in my head, anywhere from a few months to a few years before that. And they're just kind of tinkering with this idea. And I love that little moment. But then, of course, the moment of hearing it fully realized with these real people in front of me, that they're not just singing the notes. They are expressing what the music is about. And that's one of the things that I love about the choral art form is that I love choral music, but I don't listen to it in my car. I love connecting with humans who are creating this. And so to be in a room with a group of people who is fully bought in to this piece of music that again was in my head at one point, it's a very hard to describe experience.
Let's go back a little bit. So you had this idea of how could singing and the art of singing help lift these kids who faced barriers that maybe some of us don't. It's a big leap from this is a great idea of mine to, okay, let's create a nonprofit. Can you share a little bit about that journey and how you navigated that?
Sure. Well, you're absolutely right. It is a big leap, and I've always been kind of a doer. Like I'll take the leap and build the plane on the way down, kind of person. But the truth is I really underestimated just how much work it is to build and run a nonprofit. It is very, very involved. So I got my start by just finding a handful of folks at the church that I was at the time that were interested in helping me get this off the ground, and they were our initial board members of that first season of the youth chorus. And you Google what's the first step, what's the second step, and you just work your way through the steps of creating your bylaws and forming your board and those kinds of things. But beyond that, I just tried to get the word out that I saw value in the work that I was doing at this public school where I was teaching for 7 years, and that I wanted to essentially do that and make it accessible across the entire Kansas City metro area. And so I think so much of running a nonprofit really is about communication. And how do I communicate why I think this is important, what the difference that I see it make in young people's lives, and then figure out who needs to know that message.
So you were able, with the help of others, which is a great message for other nonprofits. You can't do it alone. Got this baby birthed and out there. Let's talk about kind of those first years. And then I want to talk about after that, what you all are doing now. Pretty busy.
We are. So that first season, we started off with a summer program, a week-long summer event that was designed just to get kids in the area introduced to this organization. And then we started in the fall. We followed the school year calendar, so we meet during the school year. And that first season, we had 20 singers in grades 3 through 9 in a single choir. And from that point, we always knew we wanted to grow this into a larger organization where students can come in at really any skill level and any grade level and have a place to plug in. And so over the course of those 7 years, and even including the COVID years, which were difficult, we've worked our way toward that goal, that a student can come in again at any age and any skill level and have a place where they're going to be able to be challenged at their level and to grow from that point. So we now have about 140 students in 6 different choirs that span from grades 2 through 12. And the goal is that once students are in one of these choirs, that they're going to be learning the skills to then advance to the next level. They're learning not just how to sing, but how to perform, how to exist within a community and a group, and how to read music as well. We're doing all of that in a really limited amount of time. So we're very strategic with our rehearsals, but our students, I think they're having so much fun that they don't always know just how hard they're working.
How do kids get into your choirs?
So it's really pretty easy. You go to our website, which is youthchoruskc.org, and there's an auditions page right at the top. And from there, you can choose your own time to audition, to come meet with us. And it's a very, an audition, I think, is sometimes a stress-inducing word. But we
Scary.
Yeah, it can be, but we lay out all of the things that a student might want and need to know right up front. We run them through a series of exercises, like a choir warm up. And then we ask them to sing one song by themselves, something like "Happy Birthday" if they're younger, or the national anthem if they're older. And from there, that is really pretty much the entire process. We like to get to know them in the course of the audition as well. Find out why did you want to join this extra thing? What excites you about choir music? And then to find the place that's going to be best for them within the youth chorus.
I'm going to squirrel on you for a minute. Okay, why Happy Birthday and the national anthem? Why do music people always choose those? People know them, but beyond that.
Yeah, it's a good question. The both of them actually have a few tricky challenges that we maybe don't think of because we know those songs so well. So, of course, "Happy Birthday" has that octave leap at the end. Happy birthday, and so that you can learn a lot about how someone handles the leap from their chest voice range up into their head voice range during that leap. And then we also get to have some fun with it. We'll say, okay, we want you to sing "Happy Birthday," but you have to sing it to that plant in the corner of the room. And then the national anthem, of course, I think it's actually well known that that's a pretty tricky tune. So we like to have that to challenge our older singers and see how they handle some of those chromatic steps and things like that.
Yes, we've all heard the national anthem in some not so great ways, right? How creative can I be, or do I forget the words? I don't want to digress on that, but I always thought that was an interesting juxtaposition. Why those two songs? So kiddos come in. Where do the kids come from, and how do you recruit?
We do, yeah. We take an all of the above approach to recruitment. We actually rely a lot on our current singers. We will have what we call "Bring a Friend Night" events, where we'll have students bring one friend that they think would really enjoy this experience, and to get to really walk through being a member of the youth course for one night. And you tell us if that's something that you want to do at that point. We also work really hard to build partnerships with teachers in the local schools. We offer low-cost professional development to teachers in the area every fall with an event called the Fall Refresher, where we bring in national clinicians to offer professional development to teachers. And we do things like that because we really care about music education in our community. Every one of our staff members is or was a music teacher in the area, and we like music teachers and we respect them deeply. So I think that it's been one of the more gratifying parts of this experience is feeling like we are helping in some way not just our organization and our students, but also the larger community. So all of these things are also designed to just build awareness of what the youth course is, because when you are a newer nonprofit, and I'm guessing some of your other guests might echo this, a big part of your challenge is just making folks aware of what this is, what we do, and here's a way in which you could plug in.
We're talking to Ryan Main. He is the artistic and executive director of the Youth Chorus of Kansas City. So your kiddos audition, are these kids that are generally in a music program, or, give us a demographic all around picture of the kids in your choirs?
Really, we get a much wider range than you might expect, that you might think. So, for example, we have a number of students who are in homeschool programs. and have never been in any kind of group music making environment, but oftentimes they do come to us with some kind of instrumental experience, such as piano lessons or another instrument, or maybe they've done something in their church setting. And then we also have students who are coming from great music programs, and they are just looking for an additional choir experience. I'm already in choir, and I just want more choir, which we love, of course. And then we also have students who are coming from very challenged public schools where there maybe has been a music position that's been open for a long period of time, and that position has gone unfilled, or they've had a long-term substitute in that position for a very long time. So our goal is to, again, make sure that every student who comes to us has a way to access what it is that we're doing, no matter which of those situations they're coming from.
Now, I know part of your mission is to give these kiddos performance experience. So can you share with us a little about that?
Absolutely. So we like to do, again, I call it the all of the above approach. We like to say yes to as many performance opportunities as we are able. So we host 3 major performances per year, and we do that at different venues throughout Kansas City. We have our benefit event, which we just had recently, and that's how you and I connected. And then we like to perform for sporting events, and we especially love when we get the opportunity to perform with the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. I just grew up being a Chiefs fan, like I'm sure so many of your listeners did. I see Chiefs Kingdom in the background there.
A little bit there.
So we last Christmas Eve had the opportunity to perform as the featured act on the holiday halftime show for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a very cold day. I think it was around 10 degrees. And we performed an entire set on the 50-yard line for the halftime show, and that was such a mountaintop moment for our kids. But we've collaborated with the Kansas City Current, with the Kansas City Royals, with the Harlem Globetrotters when they've come through town, and just a number of professional and college choirs as well, and so just as many cool opportunities as we can give to our students. Each one of those is going to build their performance skills and their confidence to be able to get up in front of an audience.
Do you have kids that repeat and stay with you? Now, granted, you're a younger nonprofit, but you've been around for a little while. Do they go and grow?
Absolutely, yeah. And that is our goal, is to create something that feels so good and so warm and so inviting when you walk in, that you just want to keep being a part of this thing. And there's that's not just so that we can keep students involved and build our numbers, but it's also that I think that's where the best music making happens. I think that's when you retain the most talented staff members. I think that's when you get the most volunteer engagement, is that when you really think about what does it feel like to walk into our doors for the first time, for the 50th time, for the 500th time? Is that something that you want to keep doing?
What, in your opinion, is so important about an opportunity like this for the kids, and then the impact on our city?
So I think for our kids, I'll speak to an opportunity that we have coming up around this time next year. We're going to be getting ready to go on our first trip. We'll be traveling to New York City to perform at Carnegie Hall. And for so many of our students who are in this organization, they're not able to even afford private lessons, but they are in this organization that is pushing them to be as excellent as possible, and to be at a level where we are able to be invited to perform out on this stage. And so I think that our students are learning not just how to read music, not just how to be in community, but they are also learning how what are the steps towards excellence, and how can I seek that out in other parts of my life and in the rest of my life and in my future as well. So I think again, the skill of being able to read music, the skill of being able to sing in a choir, that's a great skill. But the skill of how to hold high standards, how to truly interact in a very authentic way with the people around you. These are skills that are going to serve our community for a very long time, and those young people for the rest of their lives. Now, how does it benefit Kansas City? I think first off, we are creating the future art lovers, the future music lovers, the future classical musicians and patrons of Kansas City, without a doubt. And I think beyond that, we are hopefully, when we're doing our job right, we're inspiring kids to keep music in their lives. So to also be music makers, to be singing in their community choirs, their church choirs, to be supporting their school choirs, maybe to go out and become a teacher. I think that all of these things are needs. All of these things help build the fabric of our individual communities, which I think in the post-COVID era and in the social media era, we all feel like that's a little bit tougher to find. Mm-hmm. I think that the work that we're doing is actually really important.
How did you get through COVID? I mean, you're singing. I remember I'm a singer, and we were wearing masks, we were Zooming, so how did you do it?
Oh boy, we worked hard. I'll tell you that. We held shorter sessions. They were 4 to 6 weeks at a time, where we would focus on one song, and we would teach those songs over Zoom. And then we had singers record themselves singing along with a track, and then we stitch all of those videos together into what we call a virtual choir. And so a lot of editing, a lot of work that goes into that. But to be able to keep the youth chorus, this thing that we had already built at this point, still functioning, and the kids still connecting with us and them and each other, it was absolutely worth it.
God love whoever had to do those edits, because that is no easy task. Now, you're a tuition-based program?
We are. We have different ways that folks can do that. They can pay that in installments. They can pay that up front. And of course, as part of our mission, we have lots and lots of scholarship assistance available. So 100% of students who apply for scholarships will get a scholarship of some form, and that's just a sliding scale based on the information that they give us. But we absolutely want to make sure that any student who wants to do this is able to do this.
Now, you're working with young kids. You're working second grade to high school. How do you pick the music they're going to sing, and how do you get them excited about it?
Yeah, so we like to have a theme for each of our concerts, and that can really help kind of inform the direction in which we choose our literature. And all of our directors, I'm very lucky to get to work with incredibly talented, incredibly passionate directors who pick great music. And so I'll pick a pretty general theme, and one of my favorites recently was called Fierce. The theme was just one word, fierce. So what does that mean to you? And we got to do lots of really intense, kind of gritty music that made our kids, I think, feel really, really cool. So we just had a lot of fun with that. And at every level then, each director is choosing music that is age appropriate, that has the number of parts within the choral texture that's going to make that choir successful, but also give them the chance to sing in harmony or sing in rounds. And it's I feel like every performance I'm kind of on the edge of my seat, watching them just bring this music to life and live into whatever the theme is for that particular concert.
Now, you yourself direct one of the six choirs. Tell us how all the choirs are set up.
Sure. So I actually direct two. I
Okay.
kind of split my Monday evening. So we are very fortunate to meet at First Lutheran Church in the 6400 block on State Line, and so we have a nice big space where we're able to put choirs in different parts of the building and to stagger throughout the evening. So we have three other directors. There's myself, Mallory McCoy, Bethany Main, and Jana Houston, who all do a similar kind of shuffle that I do. And we just kind of make it work. It's a bit of a puzzle piece on Monday evenings, but currently I direct our middle school age group called Intermezzo, and then our top chamber group called the Youth Chorus of Kansas City.
So what's your vision? What do you see 10 years down the road?
Oh, gosh. That's a great question. I like to imagine that maybe we are meeting in multiple locations all around the city, that we have these community-based locations, that maybe we're involved in the public schools in some way. The Chicago Children's Chorus would be a really great example of an organization that does that well. I think that there are a lot of directions that we can go. And personally, for me, I want to see our students performing on a national stage. In our field, we call that the American Choral Directors Association Conference. That's one of my goals, especially for our high schoolers. But I think that success looks it can look a lot of ways, and as long as we are growing musically, as long as we are growing in terms of what we are able to offer to our singers and to our families, and we're growing in terms of their experience with us, then we're moving in the right direction.
It's the Youth Chorus of Kansas City. Ryan, thank you so much for sharing about this gem in our community, and we wish you the best luck, and we hope to hear more.
Thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for joining us for Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by a nonprofit called Charitable Communications. This Casey Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. To be a guest on Casey Cares or to support our efforts, you can go to our website, caseycaresonline.org. Spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at Casey Cares Radio and on Instagram at Casey Cares Online. And don't forget, Saturday mornings, you can catch us at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on Casey